Hey everyone, Jessie here with another astrology update for you. We have the new moon coming up this weekend. It's going to be August 27th at 3:17 a.m. in the morning on Saturday. So Friday night will be the fullest aspect of this new moon portal. And here's what we have going on for the transits. We have Sun and Moon together here at 4:04 Capricorn. And 4:04 Capricorn, the Sabian symbol reads, a person dreaming of nature spirits or seeing fairies. So this essence of peeking into another realm, being able to see beyond the veil, communicating with more etheric realms. So very mysterious in the sign of Virgo. And Virgo season was really going to ask us to get organized, not just in back to fall activities, but also getting clear on our own essence, our own soul signature, and being true to ourselves so that our essence is purified, as Virgo is connected to the images of the Virgin and to purity and devotion to God as well. So we often think of Virgo as being very picky about a lot of details, as Virgo is a mutable sign and it's breaking up the mysteries of Earth. So things that have been too fixed in the Earth, that detail of Virgo functions to help clear the way for a newer mystery. So this new moon invites us into seeing the other realms, that we might also be able to see other realms within us. So I like this degree. This particular Sun and Moon placement is making a square to Mars. Dun, dun, dun. So we had Sun and Moon were making a T-square to Mars at the last full moon. So here they're together at the new moon, also squaring Mars. And I'll just review again what Sun and Moon square Mars energies can be like. This is from Planets in Transit, Life Cycles for Living by Robert Hand. Mars square the Sun. This is a very energetic time where you can assert yourself effectively and accomplish a great deal of work. The problem is you will be tested all along and forced to demonstrate the validity of what you're doing. You might be challenged by circumstances and other people. Your success depends largely on how well you express yourself in a situation. If you act unconsciously and follow your own ego drives blindly, you're likely to fail. Anger and irritability are frequent with this transit. Mars square the moon. Be extremely careful of your tendency towards mood irritability at this time. You're very subject to outbreaks of irrational and compulsive behavior that will not serve your best interests. So Friday night, just be very mindful and aware of the transit, that there could be more irritability and more excitability with Mars squaring both the Sun and the Moon at this time. So yeah, be careful about falling into childish behavior. You might feel like behaving childishly, but you don't have to act out these feelings. So just good stuff to keep in the back of your mind as we move through that transit. Mars is at the degree in Gemini. 5 Gemini is a radical magazine or publication asking for action. So this has to do with sensational communication, explosive communication. So expect something in the news to be very sensational. I know we're already having lots of news bites coming out where people are getting very argumentative, and that could also be Mars at this particular degree. All right. Another thing that's happening, I've been watching this for a while. A lot of the intense times that we had from 2020 to now have involved these Uranus Saturn square, and we're having a revisit. Now, both of them are in retrograde, so I think that is going to help us review when Saturn was square Uranus. Exactly, those were times where we were experiencing lockdown, and Saturn represents structures and order, and it's in Aquarius, so it's in this fixed air sign of you must obey these rules. You must obey these fathers in authority. And Uranus is in Taurus. That is holding the energy of a creative genius and the value of freedom and liberation and the ability to follow one's own dream. So you can see how those tensions were coming up in these transits and what happened over the past few years, and really in a way how we had these new divisions in our society that created some polarization or created stereotypes of people and created a lot of friction. So this transit, they're really close. They're like 2 degrees apart. They're going to be close through September and October. We're going to be revisiting, and already I'm seeing some conversations come up. So prepare for a review of how did we handle those times collectively and how do we do better? Because these planets, it began when they were together in a conjunction. I think it was in the early 90s, maybe even the late 80s. I had it written down at one point. Anyway, so it was a while ago where they were together. And then we've had these kind of major events as they've been opposite and squaring. And so this is kind of the last test of what have we learned from the early 90s until now about the values of creativity and ingenuity. And Uranus is also creating like the web. The way we communicate online has shifted incredibly since the early 90s. Freedom of speech, .com, all these kinds of things that have happened since then, and then the fathers and the regulation. So then let's also think of it too, because that's all very patriarchal, as Uranus being like a wise grandmother. What would the feminine aspect of Uranus be? Uranus was a muse, I believe, connected with astronomy at one time. And then the feminine of Saturn would be the mother who is also the reaper, and the one who sows the field, and the wise old woman who works very well with the land as a farmer and is conservative with resources. So by flipping those genders around and seeing how those energies play out in both facets of them. So we're going to have a review. So what can we do better? What did we learn? And how can we approach the other as we start to feel that tension and that square increasing? Will there be further lockdowns, or will we handle differences with grace? Will we give people the grace and the place to be their own individual creative person? And how do we also honor them and honor the community and the wellness of the whole community? So these are topics that we will be reviewing for the next few months. All right. Mother square is Uranus squaring Venus. So this is an interesting transit. I will just read a little bit about that energy. All right. Uranus square Venus. Your love life and relationships in general will be unpredictable and difficult during this transit. You may suddenly become involved in relationships that are quite different from what you'd normally expect. If your relationships usually go along day to day without much excitement, you might suddenly want one that's more exciting. You might be attracted to people who are very different from yourself in age, class, background, and personality. Again, that Uranus brings, it's a wild card. It's like you don't know what you're going to get with Uranus. A stable marriage may go through a period of readjustment. This is a good time for releasing all the hidden tensions that have been built up between you and starting afresh. An unstable marriage may break up, especially if you or your partner are drawn to someone new. New relationships that come along in this transit may prove to not be lasting or reliable. So yeah, Uranus has that very unpredictable. So those kind of transits aren't stable and long lasting, but They're trying to refresh and renew, and there may be this jolt of energy coming. So be mindful of that. Also, Uranus went retrograde yesterday. Big shift. Uranus is going to stay in retrograde until January 22nd, 2023. So we're going to be reviewing fixed structures on Earth and the creative, ingenious ways in which we have used those structures. So we could also, depending on which house is your Taurus, that's where you're going to be feeling this energy a lot. So contact me for reading and we can look specifically at how these energies are affecting you. So two examples of Uranus retrograde yesterday. My husband and I got in the car and he had put a clipboard with very important paperwork that had like money information and the social security information on top of our car, and we drove off to work. And a few blocks down the road, he realized that this paperwork was on top of the car, so we had to drive back and find the paperwork that was scattered all over our street. Luckily, he found it all. Also, yesterday, my sister drove to work with her keys on her car and lost her keys, had to drive back. Luckily, she found them today. So I thought that those two examples were a perfect picture of Uranus retrograde, as the car is this vehicle on Earth that we use to get around, to go fast. It's kind of this creative, ingenious thing that we've used to get places. And then retrograde, we're going to go back and review and see what we missed and see what we forgot. So you might be feeling that strong reversal of like, okay, where are all my things that are important, and what am I going to review? And depending on what house is your Taurus, that's where you're going to be doing some big energetic reviews from now until January. All right, Mercury is here in Libra, and Mercury is preparing to go retrograde September 9th through October 1st. So we're kind of in that pre-shadow of Mercury as it's getting ready to review. So again, make sure to check travel arrangements, double check all of your plans and communications, because Mercury retrograde may bring some bumps or delays in executing travel, business deals. Be careful about signing contracts, just double check everything. Mercury is at the IC of this event. So the midheaven is above the sky at this new moon. Mercury is down here. The IC is a place on the chart that's considered to be like the most inner world, place that's most hidden, and also a place that holds a very important aspect of yourself. So Mercury at this placement for this new moon could really be inviting us into considering the deepest inner layers of self, and are we seeing them clearly, and taking some time to weave together the opposites in our inner landscape. As Mercury is a guide of souls, Mercury knows how to traverse the underworld. Mercury was a guide for Persephone in getting out of the underworld. So Mercury in a really deep introspective position here, and making a square with Hecate asteroid, who is the triple goddess. And Hecate was also a figure that played a role in Persephone's transit and her ability to move between the underworld and the earthly plane, or we consider it to be like our inner life and the outer world, the public and the private. So with Mercury making a square here, and Hecate is at the beginning of Cancer, so having to do with those issues of mothering and nurturing and providing care and honoring the three faces of the goddess, particularly in her crone aspect, so caring for the inner crone. Mercury is rubbing up against a little friction here and considering some inner work about our own relationship to the great goddess, or the inner crone in us. All right, what else we got going on? The most fortunate path and the ascendant, I forgot to write that down, so I'll put it here. will be trining Neptune. So this is water trine, so flowing of feelings, and the ascendant degree and the most fortunate path of this new moon event is a Sabian symbol 26 Cancer, reading in the library of a luxurious home. And some of the Sabian symbols talk about it as being on a Davenport or a lounging couch. So this degree has to do with resting and comfort and luxury. And the word lux means to shine. So it's would be very fortunate for us at this new moon to take time to simply be, to recline, to repose, to let that prana energy fill us up so that we truly can shine the luxury of our soul essence. So it's a beautiful degree. It's actually across from Pluto, Lord of the Underworld. So with these underworld intense transits, it would be ideal just to take a break, recline, repose, and fill up your tank. Maybe on a beautiful couch with a lot of beautiful binded books or something like that. All right. What else do we have? Lilith making a trine with the vertex. So her energy is coming through this new moon portal here. And the vertex of this event is 13 Sagittarius. A widow's past is brought to light. This degree has to do with facing past imperfections, facing pain. It can be about secrets, family secrets being revealed, wounds of family and ancestors being revealed. And Lilith is here kind of reminding us of the shadow feminine, things that we may have put on the feminine or the great goddess in terms of our own shame, our own pain, our blame, this kind of stuff. So a chance to reflect and consider those ancestral wounds that we might find some liberation and healing from the past. Let's see if I got everything. Oh, okay. So another big deal is Mars. I think I mentioned this before, is transiting in Gemini, and Mars is going to be going back and forth in Gemini in retrograde until March of 2023. So whatever house is your Gemini house, it's going to have a lot of this Martian energy, and Mars is not in good condition in Gemini. Mars is in a fall because Gemini is the sacred twins, and it's about balance and how do we have two opposites that are sacred. And Mars just wants to go. So Mars is going to be frustrated in Gemini. Gemini is also working to break up. It's a mutable sign, just like Virgo, break up what's too fixed in the air. So kind of recovering, I think, from some of the intense rules and regulations that might not have been for our highest good since the 1990s. And so Mars is going to be kind of warrior through those thought patterns and breaking up that which is too fixed. And this could be uncomfortable. It could feel like I don't know what to believe or I don't know what to think. And this is breaking and making way for us to come up with new ways of thinking, new pathways of thinking, to begin something new in the air signs. So if you don't know what your Gemini house is, please make a consult with me and I will share that with you. It's good to know, too, just to be aware that in the collective, we're all going to be kind of doing this dance. So my word has been grace. Let's have grace for one another as Mars is helping us to get more imbalanced with the other and to have that sacred balance again. So it will definitely color the energy of this year. And March of 2023 is going to be a huge shift for us. Just putting a little pin in that for the future. Pluto is going to go into Aquarius in March of 2023 as well, once Mars gets out of Gemini and goes into Cancer. And Pluto's been in Capricorn, really breaking down these structures on Earth that no longer serve. And Pluto was a part of that big conjunction we had on January 12th, 2020, where many of us astrologers were looking at that and saying some big change is going to happen on Earth. at this time and slowly after we were in the pandemic. So when Pluto shifts into Aquarius in March of 2023, Pluto is going to be bringing that underworld to those fixed air signs. So I think what Mars is doing right now is really preparing us for what Pluto will be doing in March. So helping us really let go of these things that we've gotten too fixed with, because by the time that Pluto gets there, it's like going to be a total death and rebirth experience. I'm imagining that none of my computers are going to work or something like that. The internet might fall or a whole new system of controlling the airwaves might emerge. And I don't want to get all dystopian about it, but some people are saying that, and I'm intending that it's going to be a little bit better than something that's that dark. But Pluto tends to bring us into the darkness in order to awaken us into the light. So just mark those transits. I think that's everything. Let's see what else I got. Oh, all right. We talked about Mercury opposite the midheaven. Venus opposite Saturn. How could I forget this? Okay, let's just take a peek at this. Venus can represent the goddess of beauty and love. Saturn often represents the cold father. Venus opposite Saturn. This transit does not usually produce feelings of warmth and tenderness. It is one of the least favorable transits of Venus. Although by no means dangerous or destructive, you'll likely experience a great conflict between your sense of duty and discipline, which is Saturn, and your desire to enjoy yourself and to relate to others. If you're feeling emotionally cold, despite the overtures of a loved one, it's best to do nothing. Again, go repose on your Davenport with some beautiful books. All right. Oh yes, Pluto across the ascendant, we talked about that, and that is it. So let's see. Stop sharing. And we'll consult the cards for this new moon, asking divine guidance. What is for our highest good, for our inspiration? What do we need to see today about this new moon transit? It's asking for inspiration, hope, and a picture of the present situation, advice for what's challenging right now, and advice for a solution to the challenge. Okay, I have those and this one. All right, so the situation. Oh, the page of emotions. She's like a sea creature, and she has all these worlds and fishes. And we do have some Cancer transits. So Black Moon Lilith is in Cancer. The most fortunate path is Neptune in a water sign. So the invitation to explore those feelings, let the feelings flow, and let the feelings guide us back to our heart. So situation, obstacles to the situation, challenges. The 8 of Voices, air sign, Saturn, lots of critical thoughts, feeling bound up and tied up. This could be like Venus opposite Saturn, feeling cold and dark and unable to relate. And the solution to the challenge. Oh, the 2 of Inspiration. Yeah, just be still, sit, reflect, let the light of your soul nourish and re-guide you at this time. Find inspiration again in your outlook. It just takes some time to be. Okay, as always, take what serves, leave what doesn't. Offer this to you just for inspiration, and contact me for a reading. I'd be honored to do one for you. I wish you many blessings and luck with this transit. Thank you so much for watching.